I was about to start this video off by saying that it's a rare thing to talk about one guy and two of my favorite teams being attached to him. And then I thought about it and I was like, is that really rare? I don't know. I feel like we kind of corroborate on these ideas quite frequently, and we build off a certain tea leaves to build certain narratives, but still, it provides some entertaining and fun discussion, I think. So we're going to dive into it, shall we? Because there have been multiple conversations on both sides, the Montreal side and the Vancouver side, when it comes to this particular player and whether or not he could be a target for either of these two teams. Of course, you're already looking at it on the screen. We're talking about Sammy Bennett here from the Florida Panthers, 18-year-old Sam Bennett, as he was once dubbed a decade ago. Surprise, surprise, he is now 28 years old, which is kind of ridiculous when you really think about it. I mean, for me personally, listening to Sam Bennett's debut in the 2015 Stanley Cup Playoffs as a member of the Calgary Flames, where he went out there and scored 4 points in 11 games, with that going down the way that it did, hearing 18-year-old Sam Bennett, that label tossed out there over and over again, it kind of blows my mind. The guy's 28 years old now. Go figure. But we're talking about Sam Bennett, 28-year-old center out of the Florida Panthers, because his contract is expiring this year. 2024-2025 expiration, making $4.425 million a year. He is labeled here as a physical forward, a puck handler, and a two-way forward, a guy who can do it all, whilst scoring 40 to 45 points on a season. Let's just say maybe 50 is a max, because he was on pace to getting 50 a few seasons ago. Last year he had 41, the season before that he had 40. Actually, he did all this with fewer games played, so I take it back. This season he is on pace for 51 points, which would be roughly in line, maybe even a tad worse than what he was able to do in the prior seasons. But the interesting thing about Sam Bennett is that in the playoffs, the guy comes alive. He had 14 points in 19 games last year as the Cats won the Cup. He had 15 points in 20 games 2 years ago as the Panthers made the final. He has been a playoff performer who steps up in the big moments, and that was exemplified no further than the gold medal game against Team USA. Okay, it's not a quote-unquote gold medal game, but it was a Four Nations Face-Off Championship game. He scored a goal for Team Canada, which was awesome. And what I wanted to do in this video was go over some talking points, talk about the Montreal point of view, talk about the Vancouver point of view, because there have been discussions on both sides. Starting out with this, posted by Jean-Charles Lajoie earlier yesterday on TVA Sports, how Sam Bennett is a natural fit for the Montreal Canadiens, but let's go out there and dive into some of this stuff. I've always liked Sam Bennett. He is the stuff of dreams. A good physique, good skating, not among the best, but a clean and powerful stride. Not the worst little hands, good reading of the game, very acceptable shot, but above all, guts, bite, and sandpaper. Sam Bennett has all the ingredients for a winning recipe, yada yada yada. He's got all this stuff going on. The positive thing about Bennett is that his playoff performances have nothing to do with bonuses, but everything to do with what he has in his belly. Everything to do with his ability to elevate his game in big moments. Now, Sam Bennett is 28 years old, and he would have recently turned 29 when the UFA market opens on July 1st. If the Panthers choose to part ways with him, he will be one of the most sought-after players in the market, and rightfully so. He's in the final year of a 4-year deal that pays him $4.25, and he is a huge bargain at the moment. If that were to happen and Bennett were to hit the market, what can he expect to get in terms of contract value? Assuming that at 29 years old, this will be the last chance for him to break the bank, he'll likely be looking for an 8-year deal in Florida or a 7-year deal elsewhere. He can hope to double his current salary, but in reality, he probably won't get $8.5 million per season, and if he does, the GM who gave him that deal should be fired within a second. I love the way that he writes that. Can he hope for a $7 million per season deal? If there are more than 3 fish in the pond, I think so. 7 by 7 for $49 million seems plausible to me outside of Florida. Now, this is where Jean-Charles Lajoie asks if the Canadiens should be in the Bennett pond. I think so, but up to a certain point. Montreal needs to carefully weigh the pros and cons. Bennett is a natural fit for the Canadiens, alas, not in a 7-year contract perspective, much less at 7 or 7.5 per season. Signing Bennett would be, first and foremost, a home run out of the stadium, starting next season with Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slafkovsky on the top line, and Bennett centering Laine and Demidov on the second line would be great and exciting. However, he becomes a great solution in the short term, but in the medium and long term, a possible drag, maybe even the next Gallagher of the Canadiens, and we don't want that. Part of the reason Sam Bennett's name has been talked about in the scope of the Montreal Canadiens is because of the comments he had made after the Four Nations face-off. The atmosphere Saturday night in Montreal was something that he had never experienced in his life. Truly special when you take into account this guy played a Game 7 Stanley Cup final at home just a couple of months ago. The Bell Center is something else. And then you had some comments saying, oh, we have to sign him this summer. He'd fit nicely here with the Montreal Canadiens. This is a really good opportunity for the Habs, especially with Kirby Dach out, right? They need a second-line center. Go out there and grab Sam Bennett in free agency. But, as we had said at the beginning of the video, this isn't the only time we have seen a Canadian team that I cheer for have some of their fans speaking out about Sam Bennett. This was posted on the Vancouver Canucks subreddit 8 days ago after that championship game. After watching last night's game, it's clear how hurt we've been with the absence of Dakota Joshua this season. Kiefer Sherwood has done great, but I feel we need to add a true impact forward like Sam Bennett or Brandon Hagel, but I'm sure those guys just don't come easily in a trade. Are there any candidates like them we can get? Hagel's comments endeared him more to me. Bennett didn't back down and he scored a big goal. It would be awesome to have either of them on our team. We need Sam Bennett or Hagel in their mid-20s and below $7 million in cap hit. Hagel is signed at 6'5" for 5 more seasons. Bennett is a UFA at the end of the year at age 28-29. His previous salary was $5 million. That's how you win cups. Get these guys in their prime years at below market value. Let's hope that Dakota Joshua, Drew O'Connor, and Sherwood can develop into that. Hold on. Sam Bennett isn't 18 years old? Yeah, okay, we're gonna skip past that. Need a good old Canadian boy narrative. Bennett is an expiring UFA, but also probably a candidate to get overpaid. I assume other teams have the same thought. You are going to physically recoil when you see Sam Bennett's next deal. Okay, we'll hold this thought on the back burner. I also wanted to go over to another post made on the Canucks sub. I've seen enough. Get this man on the Vancouver Canucks ASAP. The stat here reads that Sam Bennett has 6 goals, 9 assists, and a plus-minus of -1 in 15 games in his last 15 games. What in the world? In 15 games in his last 15 games versus the Oilers in his career. Talk about redundant writing there. Statmuse.com. But going over some of the comments here, out of everyone in the Four Nations, Sam Bennett was absolutely my top #would love to see him on the Canucks realistic pick, even if whomever signs him is going to overpay a little. He is exactly what we need. Also, the legend of 18-year-old Sam Bennett lives on because it only makes sense that he eventually becomes a Vancouver Canuck. See, I told you, this 18-year-old Sam Bennett thing is a really big deal, and a lot of people are not going to forget about that. Besser and Bennett, both UFAs, let's trade them. The Canucks need a center, and the Panthers can bump up Lundell to that second line. Both are the same age, and it does make sense, however we do have an issue of scoring. I'm not sure if Bennett would necessarily help on that front more than Brock, but I will say that grit that Bennett will bring is definitely needed on this team. We don't need grit, we need offense. Joshua, Garley, Sherwood, lots of tough D. The Canucks literally have not had this much grit in years. We need to score, though, and all anyone wants to do is trade goal scorers away and sign second or third line character guys who can't score goals. Bennett has one 28-goal season in their championship year and had never broken the 20 mark otherwise. So, this user is very obviously keep Besser and don't get Sam Bennett to replace him. There are a number of perspectives that you could go out there and talk about. This comment also says that he isn't really what the Vancouver Canucks need. We have been seeing a lot of conversation, though, amongst Canucks fans about Sam Bennett, about the Canadiens and Bennett as well, which is why I wanted to go out there and collaborate to make this video. This show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go out there and check out the first link in the description to save some money on your VPN, get some free months, and support this YouTube channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. How do you feel about Sam Bennett as a hockey player, as a potential free agent acquisition for either Montreal or Vancouver? Does it work? Does it not? Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.